Hi everyone, this is Kabir from Energy Tech Meetup and welcome to ETM Talks. Today I have Rita Monteiro with us, who is leading the sustainability strategy for Amazon Japan within operations. We are really happy to have you with us, Rita.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here.
All right, so I think Amazon doesn't need any more introductions, but we would really love to know what actually motivated you to choose this career path in the first place.
So I first became aware of the need to react in terms of sustainability back in 2009 in my previous life when I first started to work in recreational diving. When I was doing this, I witnessed firsthand the impact that pollution and overfishing had in the ocean. So from that moment on, I started to engage on awareness actions through the careers or through the companies that I worked for. But I never really had the impact and scale that I would have hoped. So this motivated me to pursue an MBA that in 2016 with specialization in impact investment that landed me a job in Amazon in operations. In operations, I was not working directly with sustainability, but I helped to launch the first sustainability ambassador program in fulfillment centers in the United Kingdom. Kind of always wishing that somehow I would land a full-time job in sustainability, and that happened when I came to Japan. So from the knowledge I gathered from operations, later supply chain, it really helped me to identify what are the key actions and adaptations required to establish a parallel strategy that helps us to tackle the small wins, the long-term change, and cultural shifts that are key to grant me the position that I assume today.
I see. So the motivation goes back up to 2009, right?
Yes.
And if I'm not mistaken, at that time you were in Europe, in Portugal, maybe?
In 2009, I was in Portugal. Then 2010, I was in Cape Verde, West Africa. Then 2013, 14, 15, I was in Southeast Asia, in Philippines and Thailand. Then MBA was in Portugal. Then Amazon was UK, France, and Japan.
Right. So that is definitely a very illustrious career. And I think the next question would go really nice with it, that working in all of these areas, I'm really curious to know if you had faced some challenges that you still remember that helped you build the character that you have today.
So as I mentioned, I was always very aware of the environmental impact FT actions have, but particularly in Amazon, I came to understand by working in 3 different areas in Amazon that every area is a very complex chain of different activities that fit in the bigger picture of sustainability. And passing through operations, supply chain really helped me to see the changes and opportunities that would impact a long-term scale solution. So it helped me to address questions, for example, such as what is the change that I need to make in the inventory management that will support the overall carbon reduction from transportation. And of course, these questions are much more complex than one would think. In terms of the differences, for example, between Europe and Japan, to start with, Japan is an island with a very high super density population. Right. While in Europe or NA, as for transportation, we also use air freight. In Japan, there is no need. So most of our transportation is made on road. Then, of course, in EU, we also have cross-country inventory. In Japan, everything is mostly consumed in-house. And then in EU, we have the benefit of having very strong carbon policies implemented at the regulation level and widespread of electric vehicles, lots of parking space, larger roads that are suitable with a bigger vehicle mix. Then in Japan, we rely on K-vans, we have very narrow roads, and electric vehicles for logistics are very scarce. And to not speak about the real estate price that is a blocker for parking space. But on the bright side, these very high density and narrow roads are the perfect ground for walkers and bikers that are carbon free. And this is why it's so widely used in Japan. So each difference requires adjustment in the strategies adopted in line with our carbon neutrality goals. We cannot take a solution such as Rivian, for example, that we identified for the United States and applied it in Japan because the vehicles are too big. So we have our own goal, global goal in mind, but we really need to adapt the solutions to the Japanese reality and all the actions that surround energy, transportation, packaging, supply chain, etc. So it's a every region has its own complexity and own adaptation requirements.
Right? Because you have worked in so many different areas, but within the same company, you can make a sort of summary of all the challenges that you faced in different areas. And then,
Mm-hmm.
for example, I never actually thought about it, but Europe probably has a lot of electric vehicles. Although
Mm-hmm.
Japan is a leader in technology in many fields, including car manufacturing, but we can
Mm-hmm.
definitely see that there are not many electric vehicles on the roads, even in Tokyo.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
definitely each area has its own challenges, and you need to focus on the strengths and weaknesses and find out the
Mm-hmm.
solutions accordingly, right?
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So let's move on to the third question that we have today. You mentioned in our last event that the
Mm-hmm.
Amazon standards are very demanding. No matter which part of the world you are in, the Amazon standards are very demanding. Right now, you
Mm-hmm.
are in a leadership position within this global corporation. What does
Mm-hmm.
these standards mean to you personally?
So for me personally, it means that I can never take anything for granted.
Okay.
And I can never assume, and I have always to try to anticipate how these standards will evolve. Everything is changing really fast, very fast, and very, very big changes affecting the whole strategy. So we have hundreds of specialists, internal and external, continuously working to increase the sustainability impact of our solutions, creating new solutions, ensuring the correct tracking, the correct measurement, coming up with new standards. And we then need to work to adjust all these standards to the realities where we operate. And also, again, provide continuous feedback because, as I mentioned, one solution does not fit all. And for this, I need to have a very strong collaboration and stakeholder management, internal and external as well, to connect the global team ideas to the Japanese reality and engage the local stakeholders on tangible actions that help us to meet our global goals. So new findings come from this exchange every day, whether it's from global to us, whether it's from us to global. And that requires us to continuously reshape our internal standards to a higher bar that is fit with the localized strategies as well. It is very challenging to be up to date in all fields. And again, stakeholder engagement is, and delegation as well, is really key to ensure that we are on top and we have all the cards we need at hand to ensure that we are sustaining a short, mid, and long-term strategy for Japan.
Right. So definitely to fulfill these goals, to fulfill the standards that Amazon have set to you, like you said, Amazon is collaborating with the local stakeholders, maybe even governments and corporations. But let us not forget that Amazon also has a massive customer base, right? So is Amazon or does Amazon have any plans to incorporate its customer base to achieve the sustainability goals?
Well, the customer is the center of the company. You know, we brand ourselves as the most customer-centric company in the world. So the customer is the center of it all. Everything we do is for the customer. Even last week, we announced that we are now also accounting from renewable energy standards all the energy consumed by our devices globally, by all our customers. So this is a new add-on, one of those that I mentioned, news that actually I did not anticipate this one, but it was great to see that the devices team is engaging in this. We also announced last week a new filter in the US for now that allows the customer to have a sustainable shopping experience based on the item certification. So we conducted an exhaustive analysis and traceability of the items that we sell online that are certified by Fairtrade, Forest Alliance, and depending on the region, other certifications that are relevant to the region itself. And we now offer this solution as well for the customer. Then we also have different shipping options available for the customer. So in Japan, we have the unattended delivery. We have also an option to ship together when we place multiple orders. So to try to give the customer the choice of whether or not they wish to minimize this carbon impact. Now, of course, if If we have, for example, the unattended delivery, we guarantee that we deliver the package regardless of the customer being home or not. So we avoid back and forth of the package and therefore save carbon. So more news will come to Japan soon. I cannot get ahead of myself, so stay tuned. Around the next 3-4 weeks, we will come up with some more news specifically for Japan. But the customer is the centricity of everything that we do.
Right. I would like to vouch for the unattended delivery service, because when I first came here, it was 2017, and at that time, this option was not available. And so I had to be on my toes, like when is the delivery going to come, and I have to get to the door. But now with unattended delivery, it just leaves the delivery on the front door and then sends me a confirmation email that we have just delivered it. So it takes away that anxiety of running to the door and getting your things.
I am very happy to hear that. I will extend the message to the team.
Yep, thumbs up to Amazon for doing this service. All right, so talking about shipment, how about, could you just let us know about the concepts of shipment zero and maybe also day one, about the strategies inside Amazon?
Yes, of course. First of all, I would like to then maybe you can share with the audience. We have a website that has all the information around all the activities that we have publicly announced so far for sustainability, whether it's operations, whether it's human rights efforts, where is data initiatives in AWS, renewable energy procurement. So everything is online if you want to research a little bit more. But speaking about shipment zero, it was the first public commitment on sustainability that Amazon made back in, I think it was 2018. It anticipates that 50% of all our shipments, all the orders that we give to the customer, will have zero carbon impact from a delivery perspective by 2030. So this means that the facilities where this inventory is placed and passes through will be fed 100% by renewable energy. A side note, renewable energy goal has been anticipated to 2025, but to 100%. So we are on our toes to meet it. Then it will pass also through a transportation method that is zero emission vehicles. So hydrogen or electric vehicles, from big trucks to small bikes on the last mile. And then we'll also have no carbon added from secondary packaging. So it means that in a straightforward thinking, we need to think about how can we eliminate our secondary package, our iconic box. So we are working in achieving this at the global level, and again, also in all the marketplaces that we operate. Of course, every country is a country, every country has its own reality that requires a lot of adjustment. Now moving to the second part of day one. Day one is Amazon's internal entrepreneurial mindset. So the energy and creativity that we put in everything we do are equivalent to a startup, even though we are, now we say that we are a country because we have over 1 million people working for us and counting. So we are the country size, but we still operate as a startup. And in a company with the size of Amazon, it could be very easy to fall into stagnation mentality, to focus on the processes and not the results, because we would be already doing good, slower decision making, or relaxing in risk taking because, we are established, we are okay, so there's no need to put effort in place. This is what we call day two mentality, and this is completely against our internal approach. So a day one mentality requires everyone to be constantly challenging status quo, ours, our bosses, our colleagues, our stakeholders, to think on ways to continuously innovate for our customers. Again, customer is the center of it all. And that forces us to be on continuous learning process, experimenting new solutions, taking calculated risks, failing those calculated risks sometimes, and focus on the results and the end goal. The process is a means to an end, it's not the end itself. No, so day one is about moving, never stop moving. Day two is stasis, is settling, stop working towards greatness under the assumption that we have already achieved it. So we adopt the day one mentality by continuous ways to raise the bar, is another term that we use a lot, and encourage, and we are encouraged to challenge our bosses, like I mentioned, to pursue what we deem to be right for the business, especially if data is backing up our arguments. So yeah, in adapting this to sustainability, this means that, for example, we have our very big carbon neutrality goals, but even when we achieve it, it doesn't mean that it's going to end there. No, as I mentioned before, our renewable energy goal has been adjusted. We now have increased our renewable energy goal to include as well all the devices used globally. So we are constantly raising the bar on our own goals to ensure that we are not just reaching carbon neutrality, but when we are ready for it, actually, go to the next level.
I see. This concept sounds something out of really a self-help book or a motivational book that never stop challenging yourself. So definitely, if the viewers, you would like to read more about the sustainability operations of Amazon, the link will be down in the video description. All right. So maybe we are getting to the end of the interview right now. So would you like to have any final message to our viewers?
Yes, I would say don't underestimate the impact that behavioral change has, and that your individual responsibility has. I believe that we all need to really deeply reflect on our own habits in our own lives, and really tackle and select what we can change, not just to, then I'm going to stop using plastic straws just because I'm fan of the environment, but
okay.
try to take the next level in your daily habits. And when you adopt this behavior, this is kind of contagious effect. So it will also influence others to do the same, and the exponential impact can be great. And finally, a little bit on the curiosity side, don't stop to be curious. Do your research. When you are making certain claims, ensure that you have the data and the science behind. Sometimes what is the most obvious thing is not actually the best solution you can identify. So always try to find constructive ways to learn from others, even if they have a completely different opinion from you, because it will really help you to understand what are the variables that you can pull to try to influence towards a better change.
All right. Thank you so much for inspiring us through your interview today, Rita. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful to be here.
Thank you guys to all the viewers who watched the interview today. If you'd like to see more talks like this, please subscribe to our channel and follow us in social media. The video description has them all. All right. See you guys in the next one. Bye.